Welcome to Penultimate Gaming's first battle report featuring Chaos Knights versus the Tyranid Swarm. Let's get started.
Alright, so this is the Chaos Knights army that I'm going to attempt to not lose today with. Starting the back here with the Warlord. This is a Knight Tyrant. What you see is what you get. He's a recent acquisition by the Ruinous Powers, which is why he still has the iconography. 1 Geist Strike Missile Launcher, 2 Desecrator Cannons, 2 Demon Breath Meltaguns, Ectoplasma, whatever that's called, and Volcano Lance.
Okay.
Next up is a Wounded Knight Desecrator. He's going to have the Aura of Terror enhancement, Power Fist, Knight Power Fist, and then down here under his legs is the Desecrator Laser Decimator.
Looks like he's in need of a little repair.
Just a bit. Over here, again, what you see is what you get. A little bit of a proxy here. This is a Knight Despoiler with the Panoply of Cursed Knights enhancement, Rune Spear Rocket Pod, double battle cannons. Nothing too crazy there, I suppose. And then over here, we have the guys that will be doing all the grunt work. 3 War Dogs, all with Havoc Rocket Pods.
Sounds great. They look beautiful. Nice job. And this is the force that the Knights will be facing today. This is the Tyranid Swarm. Yes, I am aware that some of the models are unpainted, but as a new father, I have not had as much time as I would have preferred, but they still are looking good, some of the newer models. But anyways, this is the tournament army, consisting of a Haruspex, Exocrine, a Swarm Lord with his 3 Tyrant Guard, a normal Hive Tyrant with Bone Sword, Lash Whip, and Venom Cannon, as well as a Trigon, and it's going to be put into Deep Strike, Gene Stealers, 10-man squad with the Brood Lord, 2 min squads of Termagant Flesh Borers, a 6 squad of Zonethropes, a Lictor, and 3 units of 3 warriors with Death Spitter, Barb Strangler, and Venom Cannon. So here is the map type that we have. We have Search and Destroy, as well as Supply Drop for the primary mission. With the extra mission rule, we have Chilling Rain. Unfortunately, a little bit vanilla, but well, feel like we're playing 9th edition, so that'd be okay. And then for our objectives, both of us decided to go fixed this is our first time, or at least my first time. And what I chose to bring is Bring It Down, just because I'm facing Knights and I can kill a couple of them, and the randomness of tactical may not be great when I'm going to have very few models on hand due to the damage coming down range. As well as Cleanse, because I've got a couple objectives in the back where I may be able to use my warriors and my gaunts to get some victory points while trying to keep them as far out of line of sight as possible. And then maybe I have to pull up some of my monsters late game to do the cleansing action. And with that, we're going to go to Ray and his reasoning for his objectives.
So I also went with the selected objectives here. No prisoners and overwhelming force. My goal is to utilize my army's massive firepower potential to accomplish these and basically prevent him from being able to score objective points. We'll see how well that goes.
Okay, so here is what the table looks like after deployment. So we have the Swarm Lord down on the cover, hopefully not going to die to the Castellan right away, and then we just have a massive brick of Tyranids in the center. Looking for their Feel No Pains and 6 up invulnerables, all that. We'll see how much we can get through. We got a couple of the warriors in the back trying to get plunging fire. The Exocrine hanging in the back. Can't really shoot through the center, but I suspect that the 2 lanes on the left and the right are going to be the main points of conflict, since I need to push out and the Knights can kind of shoot at whatever. I'm a little scared. He's got some big guns over there, and I have very juicy targets for him. So I'm going to be relying on the combination between Swarm Lord and the Hive Tyrant to use my CP as efficiently as possible, trying to get 2 units per phase with the 5+ Feel No Pain, and then to pump the damage for crits on 5s for auto wounding, because that's the only way I imagine that I'm going to be bringing down a full Knight list with what is not a ton of dedicated anti-tank. Because most of my stuff, except Zoanthropes, win them on 5s. And even the Zoanthropes only win them on 4s. Anyways, in Deep Strike, we have just the Trigon, a unit of Gaunts in reserve, and then the Lictor also in Deep Strike. Both the Lictor and the Trigon are most likely going to be targets for the Rapid Ingress stratagem. Next, we're going to go over the Knights Army and positioning. Ray, do you want to go into what your thought process was?
Sure. So my thought process here was to hopefully get the Castellan either on this objective.
Castellan variant.
We'll call him Tyrant Castellan. Everyone knows what we're talking about.
Yeah, fair enough.
Is to get this big Chungus over here either on this objective as fast as I can, or
how do you plan to do that?
Move him out front. We'll probably use the Kool-Aid Man stratagem to just get him through the terrain.
And do you know what that one's called? Or like what it does? It's once per game, once per turn?
No, it's just once per turn.
Gotcha.
Thankfully not once per game.
That's pretty slick, actually.
But there's that. Or move him out front here and then back him up over this because I don't need to use a stratagem to go through this. And then these guys, my plan is to get the 3 War Dogs and the Desecrator onto the center objective so that we can just start pumping rounds downrange.
Uh-huh.
The Despoiler with the dual battle cannons is going to sit on my home objective and just pump out rounds.
And then, did you mention your enhancements earlier?
I did, but I didn't say what they did. So the Despoiler has the Panoply of Cursed Knights, which is a 40-point upgrade that gives him, -1 AP to all incoming attacks.
That's expensive.
Very.
But still very good.
The Desecrator gets the sticky objective. I forget what it's called, but the sticky objective things, where when he controls an objective, it now counts as a knight for the purposes of the Doom and Despair aura. So anything, while I control that objective, anything within 12 inches gets -1 leadership.
Okay. Not the strongest versus Tyranids, but if you can take out the Synapse or the Hive Mind, you will be able to crumble.
I was torn between keeping that and getting rid of it for something that's more effective, or at least more effective against your army, but then that tailoring, and I don't really want to do that.
Yeah. We're trying to bring all-comers lists. These aren't tournament level lists, but they definitely have some teeth to them. So
we'll see how it goes.
We'll see how it goes. And then I do believe I forgot to mention the Hive Tyrant on foot with his guard. He has the 5+ Feel No Pain, Adaptive Biology. He'll go up to a 4+ if he takes a wound and survives after that phase. And then Synaptic Linchpin on the Broodlord, just so the Gene Stealers don't fail Battle Shock, just because I'm very keen to spend stratagems on them. And with that, we are going to roll off for first turn. And here we are.
You got it.
Looks like Tyranids turn 1. Okay, it looks like we may have a chance. And to those who are asking, the Tyranids, they chose lethal hits versus vehicles, obviously.
Naturally.
And we're really hoping between that and our secondary we can outscore, because I don't believe there will be much of the Tyranid army left after turn 3. But we shall see. All right, with that, let's get started. And this is where the Gene Stealers ended up after their scout move. Only the Broodlord was able to get to the other side of the wall. The rest of them were all next to him. So that's it for pregame actions. Tyranids are up to 2 CP, and the Knights are up to 1. So this is what the battle looks like after the first movement phase. So Swarmlord, it ran towards the center. Zoanthropes went up towards the center as well. The Titans still haven't moved quite yet, but this beauty over here has chosen to fire Overwatch into these Gene Stealers. And after everything was done, only 1 Gene Stealer died. However, all of his wounds, except 1, he rolled 1s on when he just needed 2. So he got very unlucky there. What I'm looking to do is I'm looking to shoot the Exocrine in the back into this Knight right up here, the melee Knight. So I can start to get rerolls from the Zoanthropes that are in there. Only 5 can see, unfortunately. The Warriors with their heavy weapons, and the Hive Tyrant. So we're going to try to see how much damage we can do. And then after that, we're going to try to finish either the big Knight off or try to kill the little one off with the Broodlord and his gang. With that, we will get to the shooting phase. And this is what the table looks like after the charge phase in round 1. The Gene Stealers multi-charged into, what was this knight called again?
The Desecrator.
The Desecrator and the smaller knight right next to it. They failed their charge. They needed a 7-inch charge. They rolled a 6. Had to spend a CP reroll. So the NIDs are down to 1 CP. and they were able to make the charge. But now what that means is I cannot use the 2 CP stratagem to give them exploding criticals on 5s, which is very important versus knights, due to just the lethal hits into then hopefully devastating wounds to finish off the knight after that. But yeah, okay, we'll see you after the fight phase. So after the fight phase, no Gene Stealers were killed. Oh no, 1 Gene Stealer was killed, and the knight was brought down to just 1 wound. I was so close. But on some okay saves and the Broodlord whiffing, yeah, it survives. Anyways, let's go on to battle round, or the bottom of battle round 1. Knight's turn 1. Let's go. So we made a little bit of a mistake. We went into the shooting phase, but this is where the knights moved. The little one fell back. This one ended up staying in combat since he wanted to be able to shoot one last time. The little guy ended up using a CP to get onto this objective, and the other big knights just shuffled in with this guy in the center. And now, let's just say this thing is a beast. Do you want to say what happened?
You can. You probably explain better than I can anyway.
So we had a Hive Tyrant with 3 Hive Guard or Tyrant Guard, and the Knight had 3 shots and was hitting on 4s because of the -1 because he was bracketed, and then he ended up hitting all 3 times with a reroll, hitting on 3s still, even after being at 1 wound, which is awesome. He ended up killing the first 2. I didn't get my 6-up save on the, because it was AP -4 for the Tyrant Guard, but then his last one, he rolled a 6 on the wounds. Because the Hive Tyrant's in there, it has devastating wounds. He ended up rolling a 6 for the mortal wounds, and then for the last Hive Guard, or the Tyrant Guard, and then 5 wounds off of the Tyrant, through mortal wounds. And the Tyrant had an adaptive biology with a 5+, feel no pain, didn't roll a single 5+. So, but next turn he will hopefully have a 4+. That'll make him a little bit more survivable, though. With so few wounds, I don't know how much of an impact that'll be. But anyways, that is the beginning of the shooting phase. I will come back to you once it is over. See you soon. Okay, so here we are after the charge phase. Would you like to go over your decision making today and what happened?
I have no idea what I'm doing.
Fair enough. So this knight over here ended up charging in to the Gene Stealers, just trying to bog them down, trying to protect his War Dog from being killed next turn, since I get to attack first. And trying to take out a couple Gene Stealers before I get to swing is always a good option. And then in the middle, we had the War Dog attempt to charge that one Neurothrope that was left over from that big squad, and he ended up rolling double 1s, which was just outside of a successful charge. So what's left after the shooting phase, which was devastating for the Tyranids, they ended up shooting off a lot of the army. All but 1 Zoanthrope survived. All of the Tyrant Guard are dead. The Gene Stealers are doing all right, but yeah, it was a very painful turn, but I'm looking forward to seeing what I can do with what I have left. And just a quick reminder, I do have 3 units in reserves. We'll see if we can pull it back. Okay, so here we are after the Chaos Knights turn 1, and oh my goodness, they blew off a lot. So what I have left at the end of the turn, I got my Gene Stealers and the remnants of some of my smaller squads. We're gonna see if Deep Strike can help me out. The Knight ran in here, but we've made some mistakes just to misreading cards or picking objectives that couldn't have been chosen as fixed objectives, and instead they're tactical. So we've had to change a couple rules. So this might just be more of a fun game, awesome models, and yeah. All right, talk to you guys soon. So this is what it looks like. Top of battle round 2, Tyranids have finished their movement. Haruspex has moved forward. Hive Tyrant and the Warriors have moved on to the point in case one of them gets shot off. They're hanging out in the center, getting ready to charge and shoot. We have the Exocrine who stayed still to shoot the guy in the center, or the little one in the back. Unfortunately, he cannot shoot the other knight due to blast. And then we got a couple of warriors and some gaunts in the back. The warriors are 6 inches up for plunging fire. Reserves came down with a Trigon trying to kill this little war dog over here. And yeah, we'll see you after the Tyranid shooting turn 2. So this is what it looks like after Tyranid's round 2 shooting. Didn't kill anything, but I brought this knight from full health down to 1. And then this little guy back here, I took 7 wounds off of. We'll see what we can do in the charging phase. So charges have been finished. The Haruspex has made it into the big knight here. The Zoanthrope and the Swarmlord are going to try to finish off this 1 wound. And then the Trigon failed their charge. Debated re-rolling it, but a 9-inch charge with only 1 CP is not great. And I really need that next turn for my Feel No Pains, because I kind of got screwed on it the first turn and lost way more since I couldn't use my 1 CP to activate my Feel No Pain and then use the Hive Tyrant's free version because the Swarmlord was a couple inches out of range. And so I pretty much lost the entire Zoanthrope unit due to my opponent not selecting the Swarmlord until I used the Feel No Pain elsewhere. But anyways, let's get on to the melee of round 2. So, the end of the top of battle round 2, we have a destroyed Armiger or War Dog in the center. The Neurothrope had 1 attack that auto wounded on a 6 and ended up rolling a 2 on the save, so the Armiger died. And then the Knight, once again, it's like a deja vu of last turn, survives, so he will have a full turn of potentially deleting more of my units. So we'll see. The Knights are struggling on command or on victory points right now, just due to mostly because we're newer to 10th edition, so we've made a couple mistakes. But so far, the Knights have felt devastating to play against. They are so lethal, and the fact that you can't hide anything is difficult to get around. So yeah, and this was definitely not an optimized Knight list or Tyranid list. The probably more tournament or competitive version would be with like 6 to 9 dogs and maybe like 2 big Knights or something like that. Just because they are so lethal, and the getting tied up hasn't been great. The -1 to hit has actually been affecting the Knights a lot more than we originally thought. But anyways, the Trigon failed the charge, as we said before. Only got the Lictor and some Gaunts left in the reserve, so we will see if we can survive 1 more round of shooting from these Devil Dogs. So I'm back here again. Knights had a really good round, I'd say, of shooting. They killed the Swarmlord and the Trigon, so they got 6 victory points off of that. Castellan moved up, did a ton of work. This Knight's last stand ended up taking out a Trigon and ended up killing 3 additional Gene Stealers before the combat phase. One thing I did forget to mention is the Lictor had a rapid ingress into the backfield for free at the end of his movement phase. Other than that, and that War Dog over there almost or took half of the wounds off of the Trigon before this Titan over here ended up taking it out. Anyways, what the Tyranids have left, they've got Hive Tyrant and a couple Warriors. Their backfield's still all right. They have a lot of objective or a lot of infantry in the back, not doing a whole lot. We learned not until not too long ago that our home field objectives don't score any points for this primary, which was supply drop. So we have learned that we need to read those a little bit more closely. And also we realized that we have the wrong, the reason why the Knights aren't scoring as well is because they had the wrong objectives, because we didn't check that they were legal early on. So they had to switch to Storm Hostile and bring it down. So sorry about that. We will make sure it doesn't happen in the next video. But anyways, now to combat. Charging, there was no charges, and so we just had the Haruspex and the Gene Stealer seeing if they can take down this Tyrant with 2 wounds left. Most likely. And then we'll see how the game finishes up. Okay, so this Knight here got very, very angry. This Haruspex ended up cleaning it out with its 14 attacks. Its power attacks didn't do much. So volume with critical auto wounding is very powerful. Was able to give it free auto wounding due to the Hive Tyrant. When it died, we had our first explosion of 10th edition. And what happened is he did 6 mortal wounds to his own walker. And then he called, but even before he rolled, he's like, now that I've done 6 mortal wounds to myself, I'm going to roll a 1 and a 2. And he proceeds to roll a 1 and a 2 for the mortal wounds. So I don't know if he's a psychic or a medium of some sort, but let's just say the dice have turned very cold.
It is very chaos.
It is very chaos. No longer giving you the boons they once had. So we decided to call it here. The victory points for the Tyranids are just too far ahead. Just from us learning the game and the mission, it was just very hard for the Knights to be able to score anything. The Tyranids have a little bit left. The Knights only had the Castellan variant, or the Chaos version of the Castellan. What's it called again? The Tyrant?
Yes.
The Tyrant. And he could almost table me for the next couple turns because I don't really have a lot of killing power left. I could maybe whittle it down, but the one little armager that was left was going to die. So we're going to call it there. What was the final score?
41-20.
41-20. Okay. Well, thank you all for watching today, and we will see you at the next one. Catch you later.